Hello, all you lovely affiliate Triad members. Today, Jason Fladlin here. I'm going to talk to you about the mindset for success and give you some traffic strategies as well. Because, why not? Let me tell you the biggest factor that will contribute to your success in this business, and it's the idea of being able to act boldly with incomplete information. If you wait around to collect every piece of information you need to know in order to make the most accurate decision, you will die of old age before making any decision. And so you have to give yourself permission to say, listen, I don't know most of the stuff that's involved with this. I have a complete lack of understanding of the full, bigger, broader implication and picture, but damn it, I'm going to do it anyway. And that's cool. Not only is that cool, that is the right approach. It feels uncomfortable at first until it doesn't. So let me give you permission. On behalf of myself, I bestow upon to you, it is perfectly okay to take action on something that you know very little about, knowing full well that you're probably going to do some really stupid stuff, and later on, when you learn better, you'll know better. But for now, it's hard to learn what not to do until you do stuff that you later discover, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But it doesn't matter because you're moving forward. I want you to get addicted to feeling really good about saying, I only know a small part of this, but it's not going to stop me from moving forward, because that will help you serve audiences. It's very selfish for you to collect information when you can be impacting people's lives. So I just want you to be aware of that, and I will remind you of that constantly because it's easy to forget. Now, here's what's really cool about Affiliate Triad. It is not a training program per se or a coaching program exactly. It is an implementation I implement on your behalf and give it to you. But still, I know the mind of the average internet marketer, and you love to study. You've been taught to study. You've been indoctrinated to always be consuming information, and that is detrimental to most people's successes. So even in this course where we're going to more than anything give you material that's done so you don't have to do it, so therefore you don't have to study it so much on what to do. You're still going to fall into this trap if you're not careful of the study to action ratio. What I mean by this is, at the very least, I will minimally accept a 1-to-1 study to action ratio. For every hour you study in this membership, you should take at least 1 hour of action as a result of what you study. 1-to-1 is the bare minimum that I'm okay with. I don't even really, I can barely tolerate it. I don't really like it. So you should never study more than you act in this business or in life in general, right? It's smart to study, obviously. You don't want to just act, but you just don't want to study as well. I want you to seek the goal of, as soon as possible, have a 2-to-1 ratio, meaning for every 1 hour you study, you take a 2-hour worth of action, eventually get it to 3-to-1. I study a lot. Let's just be very clear here. I am a massive believer in information, but I'm at about a 16-to-1 ratio. I can study 1 hour of content and easily fill up 16 hours of action. Guess where I learn more, by the way? Not in the study, but in the experience of doing. So any education I give you or anybody else gives you helps you get started, but the real wisdom that you are going to glean will come from being in the field and looking back on your own experiences. See, when I teach you something, you got to think about it with your brain, but when you learn something by doing it, you feel it in your body, so you don't even have to think about it, and it's there for you. So just be aware, how much am I studying versus how much am I acting? And acting doesn't have to be big, gigantic things. It can be very, very simple, small, tiny little things. In fact, I recommend tiny little things over big, gigantic things, because you add up them and you have momentum and you actually have progress. Now, there's a concept that I love with all my heart. It's the most powerful law. I like this better than the 80-20 rule, and that's Parkinson's law. A lot of people aren't familiar with this, which essentially says that the task at hand expands to fill the allotted time. So if you say, hey, listen, I'm going to take these things that Jason gives me and that Will gives me and that a Rapid Crush gives me in this Affiliate Triad membership, and I'm going to now use them in these ways and leverage them in these ways, and you don't define a timeline in which they will be put to use, then your chances of ever using them goes down to less than 1%. I would rather have you use them woefully imperfectly, but use them immediately. than to try to polish and polish and polish and stay in the laboratory. That's no good. I want your success. That's what I'm after here, okay? If I have to hurt your feelings a little bit along the way but make you rich in the process, that's an acceptable trade-off for me. I am your coach now, and most coaches, they demand a lot from you. They don't just be your friend. Now I'm going to do the things that I know are in your best interest. But Parkinson's Law is the best thing I can tell you, which is when you sit down to do anything, be it in this business or any business, you say, I will be finished no matter what by this time, whether it's a week or a day or whatever. Deadlines. I take that literal. If you don't meet your deadline, you're dead. That's how important deadlines are to me. Because then it will simplify things on what should be done and what shouldn't be done. That's your 80-20 rule as a byproduct here. So just remember, get in the habit of putting everything to a timeline. No matter what it is. And that will actually that'll be easier for you. It seems like a lot of pressure. It's actually a relief. Because now you can chunk down anything into something that you can wrap your head around and make forward progress with. So Parkinson's Law, that's really, really big. If I could sum it up and put it into Jason Fladlin language, I like to say the following things to really prove this point and drive it home. Perfect is the enemy of done. I'd rather have it done than be perfect, because perfect will never get done. Perfect is the ultimate form of imperfection. So we don't want to be the enemy of done. So good enough is good enough. Along those lines, it's easier to make the decisions right than it is to make the right decisions. I really, half the time, and this you'll see this in the affiliate promotions that we do, half the time I'm kind of poking and prodding at what I think are the big angles. But then I'm immediately receptive to marketplace feedback. Not what they tell me necessarily, because customers, buyers are liars. They don't know why they buy. Not what they tell me on what they buy, but how they act. Okay, what did they respond to? What did they not open? What were they confused about? I can read between the lines. So I don't have to be right. I have to just go out there, interact, and then adjust. And that's where the fortunes are made. Because people try to get it right, and I get it going, and then I make it right. So good enough is the best thing in the world. Good enough is better than great. Because good enough is good enough to get started, and you crawl before you walk, and then you walk before you run. I'm sure you've heard me say all of these things, and I will continue to say them because these are the foundations in which all success occurs. Is you don't start running out of the womb. You don't even start crawling. You first have to learn how to stand on your own 2 feet. So the good thing is we're implementing. So this is us giving you things just like your parents helped you out when you first started to walk, by holding your hand, by making sure you're not going to fall down the stairs, and so on and so forth. So get it going, then get it right. You should frame this somewhere where you can see it at all times. I'm serious. Frame it, take a picture, and post it in Slack. That would be even cooler. But the whole point of this is the name of the game here. It's less about information. It's more about implementation. Now, we built you an implementation program specifically to bypass this anyway, because I know how problematic it is. But I'm also going to consciously draw your attention to it, so that way I can help you beyond just what you do in Affiliate Triad. Now, in this business, the internet marketing business, the smartest thing anybody can do is build an email list. I don't care what technology exists right now, be it Facebook Messenger, be it direct messaging on Instagram, be it whatever the case may be, instant message, WhatsApp, all that stuff is cool and it can be helpful. But without a doubt, from a commercial perspective, an email list is your best friend. Yes, it's true, text messages have higher open rates, have higher response rates in terms of people hitting reply to them. But if I had to choose one weapon in this business in which to make money, it would be an email list. My theory is there's something intimate about it. Email is a place where people have a private relationship with the person emailing them. They allow them to come into their email inbox. But here's the caveat. They accept commercial advertising, for whatever reason, in their email inbox. They are not so excited about it in their text messaging. It's weird in their Facebook Messenger because it's right alongside all this other kind of stuff that is going on. But an email, I don't know why. Don't care why. If you actually look at all the marketing research that's out there that you pay these big companies like Gartner lots of money to get the insight in, you will find undeniably in almost every industry Those who have and use an email list properly are the most prosperous. Now, in the information business and in the internet marketing business and the affiliate space, it is the email list. It is king. I can't tell you how many so-called influencers with millions and millions of followers that I wipe the floor with day in and day out because they might have 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I got 5,000 email people that I can crush them with just with a 5,000 person email list. An email list is just something magical, and everybody should build one. The cool thing is because you have Kartra with us, a lot of the technical hurdles are already taken care of. Now, we're going to do tutorials and step-by-steps and all that good stuff to make that even easier for you to do outside of what we give you. But we're also going to give you a bunch of stuff too. So just a heads up there. 3 things you need to be successful in this business with building an email list. It's free gift, squeeze page, and audience. To start with, I will give you the free gift. So when we pick an affiliate promotion, I am going to find if it makes sense, because it doesn't always, but when it does make sense, I am going to create the free tools that you can then distribute and drop your affiliate links in along the way. And I will create the squeeze pages for you, by the way, and then you will just have to add audience, okay? But I want to give you some best practices. I'm not going to get into free gift best practices or what we call lead magnets today. I will do that in future trainings. But I want to talk to you about squeeze pages because I'm going to be giving you these squeeze pages, and some of them might not make sense, all right? So I want to set a proper educational foundation and framework which we can build on. And then I'm going to get you a lot of tactics to get your mind spinning about how to drive traffic and get an audience, which is going to be the number one focus in this affiliate triad voyage that we're going to take on together. That's what you need to have the most responsibility towards. But squeeze pages, and when in doubt, keep it super duper simple. So the squeeze pages that typically perform best out of the gate are ones like what you see on the left here. Automated evergreen webinars with 100% free software. Setup in minutes, works better than you can imagine. Download now. And then they click that, and that's when a pop-up shows up. And that says, give me your first name and your email, and then I'll send you this free report. Now, this is mine. I don't have my name on this. You don't see a picture of me. There's nothing that identifies it. It's just straight up, give me your email address. It's impulsive, which is why it works so well. It's also super easy and quick to build. We will be giving you squeeze pages for promotions, but I just want you to understand where they come from. Here's another one. So in the real estate business, we have a business where we do done-for-you webinars for real estate agents, and we license them to their market. And so this is an example, a placeholder of what we do for an opt-in. Headline, couple bullet points, and then a call to action, which then again, when they click that button, watch now, they can put in their name and their email. If all this seems Greek to you, it doesn't matter. You will get this done. Just focus on the strategy for now. Strategy is this. I am bribing somebody to give me something that is of value to them that they wouldn't easily part with. In this case, it's not money. It's their personal contact information, specifically their email. And so we swap email for a gift, for a bribe, for a lead magnet, whatever you prefer. And this is how we start our connection, our relationship with the audience. Just one more for you here. Killer offers checklist, literally 3 words of copy, an image, and then a button. And if you were to go to this on the web page, the button kind of shakes. It's like an animated button to draw their attention to it. Download it here. Now there's below this, there's the footer information to be compliant, all that kind of stuff. These work really well. Now, if I give you long form, hard-hitting, very intensive squeeze pages, those also work. Okay, so this isn't one works at the expense of everything else. This is not black and white, right? There are many ways to the top of the mountain. There are many ways to build an email list. This is just the easiest, quickest way in the shortest period of time to get started. Because if we add a lot of copy, we add a lot of complexity, which then can delay the implementation, which sucks. The other thing is if we add a lot of copy, we actually run a gigantic risk of decreasing response. Because the more you give somebody to take in, the more intimidating it is for them to take it in. So you have to know exactly the finer points of persuasion, copy, design, layout, and all that kind of stuff. So I recommend you start with simple, because simple is usually the best case anyway. It's also the easiest. And you can build upon this. You can start testing this by adding copy to it and see if it performs even better or not. Now, when I give it to you, trust it came through my brain, so I usually know what rules to violate, when to violate them for gain and such, but I'll still break those down for you and explain to you the rationale behind why we build every page that we build for every promotion that we hand over to you. Now, this is one thing that is absolutely critical. And I'll give you templates so you can put this into place as we go along in this process. I'm not going to give it all to you at once because I don't want to drown you, right? Let's slowly but surely walk into the pool of profits one step at a time. One thing that I do that I don't see anybody else really do, I do this to the point where I will sacrifice an immediate sell. So a lot of people, when they get an opt-in, they want to turn around and sell the user something. I understand where that comes from, by the way, because if you're paying for traffic specifically, you want to recoup as quickly as possible. The downside to that is it's a little bit bait and switchy, isn't it? Where you say to the person, give me your email, I'm going to give you this gift. Aha, I fooled you, look at the sales pitch. So you might undo a lot of long-term customer value. They might not ever go to your email inbox, the inbox to open up your email as a result. And then when you email them a week later, they think it's spam, because they don't even remember opting in because they had a bad initial experience. Here's the cool thing. When we promote stuff as an affiliate, typically it'll be higher ticket type of offers, not super low ticket offers to try to offset ad spend kind of stuff, right? So it's cool if we build up the tension for a week and then release it with the sales promotion, because if I'm selling a $2,000 thing, I could spend up to $1,000 as an affiliate to break even on that sale. And that's good. Because if I'm paying $4 a lead, which is pretty common in Facebook in this market, I can get 250 leads. I only need one of them to buy to break even. That's a less than whatever that is, like a quarter. It's like 0.3% conversion rate or something like that. And with our types of affiliate promotions, if you target the right audience, right now, if you target a 96-year-old blind Indonesian man who just got the internet yesterday and isn't interested in making money online, the world's best sales copy will not convert that person, right? However, in these types of promotions, it's best to do some bonding before hammering them with a sales pitch. So that's why on my thank you pages, I often do things like this. I say download instructions, and then I talk about whatever the lead magnet was. In this case, it was a report on a case study on Raul, right? And I say, hey, Jason Fladlin here. Shortly, you'll get this email. It will look exactly like this with this subject line. And there's something about being so clear and so vivid in the user's mind that it makes them way more likely to then go to their email inbox and open that email. If they don't open the first email you send them, the chances of them opening up any other email from you is slim to none. So this is like the headline is on a sales page, the equivalent of the importance of it. And so you want to get them to go right to the email. Now, once they go to the email, then you can start selling them what other kind of stuff, anything else you want. So again, we're going to give you templates. We're going to give you all this stuff in due time, not all at once. I know you want it. My kids want to eat dessert before they eat their vegetables, but we make sure everything in all due order, all that kind of stuff. That's the opt-in, all right? Here's where your head should be right now, and as we get kicked off at Affiliate Triad. You should be focusing and thinking about traffic more than anything else. I have conversion covered for you. Conversion is 80% of the game in internet marketing. A lot of people have it flip. They want it to be 80% traffic, 20% conversion. That's why they lose. That's why we win. I always put it this way. You don't try to sell out an arena and then book the talent. Say, buy this ticket and I promise you we'll have some amazing musicians show up. You would sell exactly 0 tickets if you did that. Instead, you book the talent first. And then you say, come to this concert with mega, super, wonderful music act, right? Now, different markets will want to listen to different music, right? Country people love country music, and they probably hate rap. But rap people love rap, but they probably hate country. So that's your attraction switch. So to me, conversion goes first, and then from conversion flows traffic. Once we have really powerful webinars, really compelling sales copy, really, really hard-hitting, solution-based type of value that can lead to a sale, then we go out and get the traffic. Getting the traffic before the conversion is the tail wagging the dog. Now, here's your traffic strategy that I would highly recommend that you start to really get comfortable with, and I'll give you tactics and specific training on how to do this even further. This is just the taste today, right? The intro is the best traffic strategy I've ever found in my life is find an underserved, completely neglected market segment that's packed with massive profit potential where you can easily deliver massive amounts of value with the least amount of time, money, effort, skill, or resources, all right? So typically most internet marketing promotions that affiliates promote all suffer from the same flaw. They're very broad in general, because the vendor has to make it that way to have maximum appeal. Your goal should be to then carve it up and reposition it ever so slightly to a very narrowly defined audience that everybody else is skipping over. So most people will promote to the exact same audiences with the least amount of imagination even possible in their promotion. And everybody is shouting the same thing at the same audience. But if you show up in front of an audience that nobody else is talking to, that's like game over. You will win simply because you're where nobody else is. Traffic is infinitely easier to get. Attention span of traffic is easier to get. And because nobody's coming to them, they are more grateful. That's who we want to go after. All right? Let me put it another way. Not all audiences are equal. From an economic distribution standpoint, in any market, 1% of that market spends about 50% of the money. Not equal. So, if there's a $100 bill or $100 on a check when you go out to eat, one person will pay $50 of that check, and the other 99 people will pay the other $49. All right? It is not even close. That's the 80-20 of the 80-20. So I grew up in a town called Muscatine, Iowa, a real hellhole. Never recommend that you go there, right? But it's a small town, 23,000 people, and the average household makes about $50,000 a year. Poverty rate's pretty high, and one of the reasons is because out of the 11,000 employees, some 3,000-ish of those employees work at a corporation called H&I, which is the largest office supply manufacturer in the United States. So it's a very, very grim existence for a lot of people. Now, the median property value is $100,000 for property. Now, I live out here these days in Santa Clarita, which is small in LA County. It's a very unknown area of LA, but it's 10 times larger almost in population than Muscatine. And the income is almost twice what you make in Muscatine. Poverty rate is half, interestingly enough, right? And the property value is about 5 times. For $100,000 in Iowa, you can live pretty well. For $100,000 out here, you're probably living in the worst possible place you could ever imagine living in. This is just a geographical differentiation to hopefully impress upon you that even though these are both human beings who both live in the United States of America, the world of experience that's different between those who live in my hometown of Muscatine and those who live in Santa Clarita are night and day. Completely different audiences with completely different needs and completely different responses. When I first came out here, I almost puked when I saw the home prices. Now I've gotten used to them. So certain markets are allergic to higher prices. Other markets, they don't care. They're more value focused. I always would give this example. If I were marketing like clean, healthy eating in Muscatine, and part of my strategy was to have them go to Whole Foods to get their produce, I would be out of a job because there's only 3 Whole Foods in the whole state of Iowa, and the closest one is 200 miles away from Muscatine. Where in Santa Clarita, I have 16 Whole Foods within driving distance of me. 16! And that's not counting all the other stuff that Muscatine doesn't have for just gourmet foods, healthy food like Sprouts and all that other kind of stuff. Muscatine has none of that stuff. Right? We have one Aldi's, and that's kind of like a big deal. So a whole different experience. So we don't want to go after the masses or the average. We want to find these little pockets that are uniquely predisposed. I will give you tips and tools because I certainly can't reach all of them. In most of them, I don't have an affinity or an understanding for, but you probably do. So we'll get way more into that, trust me. You can do a lot with a little, so this is the thing. Quantity is impressive, but quality is where it's at. So there was a time when Robert Kiyosaki, rich dad himself, right, came into our space, and everybody thought they were taking bets that this was the person who was finally going to beat us when we were promoting this product, which was called Amazing Selling Machine. And they really tried hard to help him too. Like, he didn't create his own bonus package. The vendor of the product created his own bonus package for him because he had a 4 million person email list. Okay? When the smoke settled and the dust was clear, we outsold him more than 2 to 1, and we had less than a 50,000 person email list. Okay? And obviously, this wasn't even our best promotion. That would come later on. Now, it's funny, the person who got second was a team of people called the Physical Profits team, mainly led by a marketer named Onyx Singhal, which is definitely one of the bigger names in the internet industry. And I remember I was so upset with how everybody thought that Kiyosaki was going to beat us that on the last day I was consulting with Onyx on the phone, giving him advice on how to promote ASM just so he could take second place away from Kiyosaki, which he did. And it's amazing to me because, who the hell am I, right? I'm nobody. I'm still nobody. I got 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. And you've never probably heard of me if you're not in this space and in this space deeply. But everybody's heard of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? And so without fail, every affiliate contest I've ever really been in and studied the leaderboard on, and I study those leaderboards like I'm going to be tested on them. And you would be amazed at the number of names that nobody's ever heard of. So I always think of Philip Jepson, great client of mine. I got him started in the ASM business. He bought through me, started an Amazon business, did very well. And just through friends and family alone, he was one of the top affiliates in this business, which is one of the biggest product launches of all time. Because he took the course, he did well with it. People asked him, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm doing this." And then he had them go and buy. It was awesome. Super, super smart approach. And David Kettner was another really big affiliate for ASM. Same kind of concept. Was not an internet marketer. He was completely clueless on how to do internet marketing at first. He learned it along the way. But he was still really influential just because he was so sincere with his desire to help people get started in this business. I remember way long ago, the first ever $10 million promotion in internet marketing history. It was done by Mike Koenigs. And it was on Main Street something or other, right? Main Street Marketing Machines, I think it was. And first ever launch to ever do 10 million. The number one affiliate was this guy like Fireman Mike or something like that. I think that's who it was, Fireman Mike Williams. And what Mike did, he partnered up with this other guy. Nobody had ever heard of him. He beat every big name in the industry. But what Mike did was personally call and talk to each person who had expressed interest in buying this $2,000 product. And yeah, he worked hard. I get it, right? But all these big affiliates, none of them would talk to their customers. Imagine that, right? So he won. And because there was so much hype and mania around these launches, this is how the little guy and gal can get in, because they go and they serve markets that other people aren't, or they serve in a way other people don't. And we're going to talk very deeply at that, because Will and I always took that approach. We always like to pride ourselves into thinking like a young, hungry upstart. So when we were promoting ASM, we would go to local meetups and do presentations. So why not show up in person? It doesn't have to just be the internet. That's why we had the Skype groups. We would do these things where we would give away cash on a webinar. Halfway through the webinar, I'd say, do you really believe you can do this opportunity? Go here and put in yes and no. And you have to give me your name and your email and your phone as well. Here's why. Because when you say yes or no, you'll also enter into a contest where at the end of this webinar, we're going to give away 5 $100 bills. So we get everybody to opt in. You get a 97% yes, I can do this rate, which is a psychological persuasion method to get them in a yes frame, right? Which is kind of cool, right? But then what we would do is follow up with them after the webinar and email them, say, hey, listen, I saw you on the webinar but didn't invest. Would you like to talk about if it still makes sense for you to invest or not? Since we already had their phone number, we could call them right there on the spot. And we closed a bunch of sales on the phone. Imagine that, right? So big affiliates almost never do that. We probably won't do that anymore because I'd rather you do that stuff for the majority of this. But you don't get 1 million visitors. You get 20 people who you work very closely with, and you sell them a $2,000 product, and you just made $20,000 in a month. That's the name of the game. You don't need 1 million. You need 20 of the right people. So on a high level, I always talk about vision, strategy, tactics. Every model I build to take over any market starts with vision, strategy flows from vision, tactics flow from strategies. Most of the internet is backwards. It's tactics first, which is horrible because tactics will evaporate, they will change, they will get copied, they will become redundant. Strategy is preferable, but above strategy, we should have vision. So vision in this, from a traffic perspective, if I'm building a traffic model, looks like this. What audience will you completely dominate with value? It doesn't have to be a big audience. It can be extremely small. But you will be the one that will outvalue anybody with attention, with focus, with service. Strategy. What are 3 to 5 key ways you'll gain domination? You don't need 100. You need 3 simple ways, right? And then from that, the tactics will come. What are quick and easy ways to gain traction and make improvement? All right? So strategy is obviously, if I can show up and do a short presentation in front of a group of people that are at a local meetup group, that's a really good strategy because I can go from meetup to meetup in a local area if that's possible. Now, a tactic could be the way I open the group or the way I close the group or any number of ways that I engage with them. But that doesn't really matter. What matters is, can I get in front of somebody, and who specifically am I getting in front of? So we had an affiliate that got in front of chiropractors and showed them how it made sense for them to start an Amazon business. And it worked out really good. Which gets me to the next point. If you want to think about markets to serve, here are the 5 areas that I suggest you take a look at. Just pick one of these 5. And I have examples for you, right? So first one is occupation. So you can take any internet marketing opportunity and niche it to certain specific occupations. So Joe didn't teach marketing. He taught marketing to carpet cleaners. And he was more successful at teaching marketing to carpet cleaners than anybody I know who just teaches marketing in general. He niched it down. So you take an internet marketing promotion, and if you can niche it down to a certain specific type of occupation, say freelancers, for example, or anybody else that you can think of that would be, if they do that, they would also be good at internet marketing. That's a good way to start targeting. You can join their Facebook groups where they all congregate. You can go to their forums where they all hang out. You can look at their local meetup groups in this particular case. You can run advertising, obviously, to these groups of individuals, and on and on and on. Geography is really, really powerful as well. So one of our partner affiliates in the ASM promotion, they did a layered approach here. What I mean by that is they were servicing life coaches locally in their presence in the London area. And then they took a life coach, which is an occupation, specifically geographically centered in London. And they sold like several hundred units of a $3,500 product from a geographic and occupational overlay. Nobody targets life coaches specifically in person in the London area to do group network meetings. So they won. It's called Blue Ocean, right? So identity. So if you look on the right, there's Haroon. So Haroon also, by the way, weird enough, was in London. So even in a tiny pool, there's enough for 2 people to swim in very comfortably, right? Haroon was able to, he's a Muslim. He teaches Muslim entrepreneurs in London how to start an Amazon business. And he's the only one. I couldn't sell to his audience nearly as good as he could. Even though his message wasn't as good as my message, his pitch wasn't as good as my pitch, his bonus package wasn't as good as mine, but he would out-convert me to that audience because he has affinity with that audience. They are like him. He understands the needs of that audience better than I ever could, right? Activities. So what are certain hobbies or certain behaviors that people use that could also be aligned with whatever it is that's being promoted? So options traders sold better for us on an Amazon business than any other audience we went after, including internet marketers. I told you earlier, from an occupation, chiropractors did very well for us as well. People who were into numerology, believe it or not, did very well for us. I don't know why. I don't care, really. But activity. So if you can overlay an activity with an opportunity, you're the only one targeting that activity, you win. This is far more than just targeting people on paid advertising, although that's smart, right? This is understanding the psychology of being the only one to serve an audience that nobody else is serving. Last year, we made a killing taking Product E-Class and turning it into a Portuguese version, Product E-Class Brazil, right? Went over to that market. Nobody else was really serving that market, and we were getting a 4-to-1 return on our Facebook ads for a $25 product, which is unheard of. Doesn't ever happen in the United States. I'd be happy if it was the other way around. on the front end, right? So before we even sold the $500 product, which is Product E-Class, we'd sell a $25 training, which would then sell the $500 product. And we were spending about $5-6, maybe $7 at the end to sell a $25 training right up front, straight up. Because again, when you're the only one in that market serving that audience, you win. Small audience, in a sense, doesn't matter. I want you to target small audiences and be the only person bringing value to that audience, not trying to grab people in a large audience and hopefully like intercept them. I don't know, right? So to start thinking about this, and I'm going to give you far more than just what you're getting here today. This is just to start the gears churning in your head. Now, when it comes to engaging with audiences and converting audiences, doesn't matter. Long-form content will always beat short-form content with almost very, very few exceptions, So from a search engine perspective, on Google, if you look at any top 10 result for any search phrase, on average, the number one result is a 2,400 word piece of content. Number two is over 2,400 words. Everything on average in the top 10 in a Google search result is over 2,000 words of content. Long-form content performs significantly better in the search engines because it gives it more data for the search engines and the algorithms to crunch. But it also performs really well in newsfeed situations, not just in Google searches. And so I have seen many, many really well-performing Facebook ads who cram 400, 500, 600, 700, 800 words in a Facebook post. Okay? Long-form content works. Here's why it works. There's mainly three reasons. Reason number one is it works because it's different. Most people do short-form content, so you win by standing out. Second of all, it's hard to really make a connection with somebody with bite-sized chunks of content. So you're likely able to provide more value if you have more time to provide the value in. Now, the third thing is even if it doesn't attract a lot of traffic, which it seems to do, it's still preferable because it's a quality over quantity approach. So err on the side of long content as opposed to short content. So my friend Ben Hardy, who at one point in time was the most distributed article writer of Medium.com, before they changed the platform up, he built a list of over 300,000 people running just off of straight up articles written on Medium.com. Not as effective of a strategy today since Medium changed it, but the way that he generated his content is very intelligent. So if you go and you look at it, many of his articles are 14 minutes to read, 27 minutes to read, 29 minutes to read, and they have 28,000 claps, 14,000 claps, 44,000 claps, and so on and so forth. Go for long form over short form. You will see me use this more than anybody. So a 3-hour webinar will typically outconvert a 2-hour webinar. A 4-hour webinar will typically outconvert a 3-hour webinar. So when I am giving you done-for-you webinars to promote an affiliate triad that are 4 hours long, you don't have to learn ever how to do that. Thank God, by the way, because I've tried to teach people that. They don't want to do that. But I do it because A, I love it, and B, I know it works. When you see those emails I write and send out, the emails I use to sell affiliate triad, some of them are 2,000 words long. Nobody writes emails like that. A, it's hard for most people. It's relatively easy for me, but it's hard in general. And you got to be interesting, which a lot of people have trouble with. So I will be doing this on your behalf, but at least you'll understand where it comes from. But if you ever want to leverage any of that content further as traffic attraction mechanisms, you should keep it very long. Now, out of long, you can then bite-size it up and use short. See, here's what I love about long, too. Here's the other thing you got to understand. I can make 1,000,000 pieces of short content out of one long piece of content, but I can't do the reverse. I can't take one piece of short content and just cut and paste it and magically have it magnify into a larger piece of content. If there's anything to study on really how to take long-form content, take the content I'm going to give you and repurpose the hell out of it to use it to attract audiences, it's this. Check out this presentation from Gary Vee. It's free to go through the whole slide deck, and it's on how he takes one piece of content and turns it into 64 pieces. So now you can take quality and get quantity in addition to that. All right? Lastly, I'm going to very quickly just show you some stuff with paid traffic that you should be aware of. You don't have to do anything with it today, but one of the things you can start doing is looking for winning campaigns. Not exactly the same stuff that's being promoted that you're going to promote, but things like it or similar to it or to similar audiences. So you can see what are these audiences responding to. So a lot of people don't know this, but Facebook, in order to be quote unquote more transparent, did this thing a couple years back, I think, at this point. But if you go to anybody's fan page, like my friend Anthony's here, and you go down to the bottom, they're going to say page transparency. It looks like that, right? And then when you click on it, it's going to take you to this piece of information, and highlighted in yellow is the most important part. It says ads from this library. You can click on go to library or go to ad library, and you will see the active ads that this page, I should say, is running right now. So now you get to see everything. What images are they using? What copy are they using? All that kind of stuff. All right. So this is good intelligence for you to start gathering on things that are being promoted similar to what you're going to promote, or to the audiences you want to go after. All right. In a future training, I'm going to talk to you about email marketing because there's a whole psychology about it. I'm going to give you emails, obviously, that are going to be helpful to you to be able to use, and you can use them as is. But in between promotions, it's preferred that you stay in contact with your audience, even if it's just to give content and value. And we're going to do our best to arm you up with that as well. But I'm going to give you best practices here in the future on what good email marketing looks like. So you're going to get that as well, just as a teaser, so you know what's coming up. The one thing I will say about email is it's your spokeswheel. So a lot of people want to build their other platforms first and then try to get email in at the end, right? I prefer it the other way around. Build email first, and then you can use email to promote a YouTube channel, your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter, and it can go both ways, right? So one can promote the other. But I like email to be at the center of it to grow all the social media platforms that you want and you wish to, if it makes sense for you to. Now, the last thing I'm going to leave you with is when starting out, speed beats everything. So do it as quickly as you can. Sacrifice some of the perfection of it and the quality of it. Because if a person needs help, they would rather you show up with disheveled hair, right? They'd rather you showed up in casual attire with stains on your t-shirt, unshaven, right? But could help them with their problem, than to have to sit around and wait for hours while you get ready to help them, and they're in pain and agony the whole time. That's why speed beats everything. So keep that in mind here. So this is some mindset, traffic, a whole just bunch of different stuff for you to consider to open up this can of worms. Is going to be the fun experience of Affiliate Triad. I can't wait to give you more content, more specific content, and soon we're going to unlock the first promotion to you and get you going so we can all make some good money together. So I'll talk with you again here soon. Jason Flatland signing off. I'll see you in the next video.